Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the February 20th meeting of the Board of Sewer Commissioners. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:30. And a roll call.
Sandy Slavin.
Malcolm White.
Donna Bronk.
Peter Dunlop.
Jim Gabberty. And we have minutes here from the meeting of the 6th of February. But
I have read them and approved them for acceptance.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
500. Okay. Guy, what are we, the special spring meeting articles
Yes.
we have?
I thought we should discuss, A, would be an article for the expenditure for the D-night filter was $2 million. We had presented that. There needs to be an article about that $2 million. There's also needs to be an article, oh gosh, Guy, come back. An article for the, even though we applied for a grant for the basin, the 1.2, 1.4, I'm not sure where that money's coming from, so we need to look at that and get an article for that money. And there's others. We have a meeting the 5th. I thought we could finalize, but I just want to get the board's attention to we really need to be concerned with the monies. We need money, probably $115,000 to continue on with the looking for a discharge place, a groundwater discharge. So there's money, so I want to get the board. Plus, I sent a bunch of things into capital, and I haven't got those in front of me because I wasn't prepared for that, but we need to.
I have them.
Sure you do. And so we need to talk about financing for those articles. There's 4 or 5 things we need to talk about, and I think we have until March 12th. And so I thought we'd get the ball rolling. And the other thing is that we are on the SRF funding list for the $9 million we applied for. And we said we're going to do some plant upgrades, that $9 million. So we have that lurking over here, and then are we going to finance through the SRF funding? At my budget hearing last week with the Finance Committee, I found out that in our retained earnings, we have $7 million, and we need to spend down some of that. And I don't know what that limit is. And so I thought we should have a discussion with Derek as what we should spend down. Should we spend down now, or should we spend down in the fall? Or should we borrow? So there's some things I want to get the board's attention to so we can figure out how we're going to approach. We've got a bunch of projects coming up related to the plant, and we just need to know how to finance them. So that's what my discussion with that is, and I think we should start that discussion and then wrap it up next week, the week after next, the 5th, and then make something final so we can get to the town, because I believe it's the 12th we got to get into the town. I believe it's the 12th of March we have to have some articles in. So that was where I was going with it, Mr. Chairman.
Can you put together a list with dollar figures associated with it on these and just send it out to everybody so that we can all go to the same place?
I get a headache. I get a headache when I look at the numbers, but yes, absolutely. I had Russ here tonight.
Well, Russ can do it.
Russ and I are meeting tomorrow, and then I've got I'll go over my list that I sent for capital plan. I'll talk to the capital planner, to Sandy yourself, and we'll formalize a list.
Okay.
And some of the numbers are going to be, engineering we got, but some of these numbers I want to make sure I get as close to budgetary as I can. We also need to put an article, as I did the budgetary work for C Street. We had $600,000. That project is going to be closer to $1 million because of unknowns. The bypassing is going to be expensive. Police detail is going to be expensive. There's some nons. We know what it's going to cost for the piping, but the unknowns are just, as we started really listening to them, that's matting for the beach, repairing all those things become costly. So we did the rough budget. That's $1 million. So that's $400,000 more than we anticipated. So that's, we got to go to town meeting and figure we're going to get that money too also. I'll finalize those numbers, and we'll go from there. So those are the kind of things that are happening.
Mr. Chair, I'll be happy to read off what has been submitted as capital for the
No.
sewer. You don't want it?
No, I'd rather have it sent out to everybody so that they've got a piece of paper in front of them to
Okay.
read. It'll be easier.
But
Seriously.
then so we will only have one meeting before we have to submit an article.
Right.
So I'll send to the board the ones I have, because I'll submit to every board member so they can review them.
And I'm going to say to the board member, be careful. You don't want to print out the whole thing. You'll get 60 pages of blanks. So be careful when you print.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. When you do the chart, you get a lot, it's
Yeah.
crazy. I got to tell you.
60 pages of
Of
blank.
nothing,
Blanks.
of
So
nothing.
only select the pages to print that have something on them.
So maybe what I'll do is I'll print them off for myself, stop it, and I'll photocopy them, put it into a file, and send you that particular file.
That's exactly,
Sounds good.
That's what I would do.
that's what I would prefer to have happen.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm meeting with Russ tomorrow, so we'll go over some of these capital outlays, and we'll make sure we solidify some of the numbers, and we'll put that list together also. So you can have some numbers to work with. But I wanted to get the ball rolling. I didn't want to wait till the last minute, because,
You'll send this out to us before the meeting, so we have a chance to review.
yes. Yes. We have a new young lady in the office who's going to be specific to the sewer commissioners and procurement. So her name is Christiana Robbins. So she'll be
What was
the
her name again?
Christiana Robbins. She'll be your contact, Mr. Chairman, for genders. She started this week, so we're training her, so she may need another week. I'm going to probably for the 5th meeting, it may be Anita, and it may not be. I'm trying to see how fast she goes along. But she will be your contact point. She'll be spending time in the office, and she'll update all the commissioner things that we need to update. She'll be your contact for anything you guys may need. Call her, tell her what you need, and she'll get it to you. She's a new contact, and that's her job. So she started actually Tuesday. So that's exciting. We'll get somebody that's specific for that. And that's all I have on that, Mr. Chairman, on the discussion of Springtown meeting articles.
Anybody?
Just one quick question. Will there be anything on the document as to where the money will be, where the funding's coming for us to consider? Because we need that for this, for the articles.
I think we'll consider that the 5th, and it gives us time to discuss with the.
What I would suggest is when you put that together is put your recommendation where you think it should come from, and
Yeah.
that way we'll, rather than
Okay.
start from square one at the next meeting, we'll have a heads up.
'Cause, some of this, what troubles
Excuse
me
me,
a little bit.
Guy, what is
Okay,
it?
I'm sorry.
Can I just ask one quick question?
Sure.
Yeah, good evening. Russ Kleekamp, engineer with GHD. And Guy, just a question for you, maybe a clarification. When you talked about the town meeting articles for the spring earlier, you mentioned the one for the basins, that even though we're applying for the grant, we still felt, I believe, wasn't that covered in the fall town meeting, that $2.5 million?
I have to look, because I know we talked about it, but I don't know if we pulled it out already. I'll look and be sure, because we may have that may be financed.
Because I believe it was voted and it passed for the fall.
I don't know where the finance was coming, because I think at the time,
Where it was
and in
coming
my
from.
recollection, my time is that we knew we applied for the SRF funding, but at that time, we hadn't received notification that we're on. So I think it was limbo. And now that we really know that we have that,
Now
I
that
think
we're
we need
on
to
the
revisit
SRF.
it to see exactly where we want to go with the expenditures of
I
that,
think you were right, Russ,
that 4 or 5 million that we would need to spend.
for now. Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Any other questions for me, Guy?
I don't know, I really appreciate you stopping by, man. Thank
no
you.
problem at all.
Unless the board has any questions on the presentations or anything, that's why, but you're free to go. I'm good.
Cannolis are where?
You know, we briefed that. We did touch that, and he said that because he wasn't doing a presentation and boring
I
you,
see, okay.
he wouldn't bring the
That sounds fair.
cannoli.
That sounds
So there's
fair.
no cannolis this
cannolis
evening,
you
so,
can
no cannolis.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you,
Russ.
Russ.
Appreciate it.
You're right.
Sandy, Mac, Donna, Peter, anything? Okay. Next, we got a 124 Minot Avenue connection.
Mr. Chairman, this is the continuation of that strip on Minot Ave. We have previously approved lots 1, 2, and 3 for construction, and as to date, no construction has happened on 1, 2, and 3, and now they're moving for lots 3, 4, and 5. My only contention, Mr. Chairman, is because we have limited capacity, I'm wondering if they need to move forward on 3, 4, 5, and 6 right away, that we exchange lots 1, 2, and 3 for 4, 5, and 6, so they can proceed, and then they can come back at a later date for 1, 2, and 3. It's been a few years for 1, 2, and 3, and we gave those gallons. And because we have very limited gallons, I feel, I feel kind of concerned when people take gallons and don't use them, because that means nobody else can get those gallons.
Exactly.
So that's my concern with this whole
They inhibit
process.
progress for somebody else by having the
Because
gallons.
people are knocking down our doors for capacity, I'm telling them no. I got other things that weren't, so that's all I'm saying, and I thought that there should be a consideration the board should be aware of as
Just
we do
for
this.
me, how much did we approve for the first 3 building sites?
We 1, 2, 3, I think it was 6 units, I think it was 220 per unit, and that's what they were allocated for gallons, if I remember. I don't have that paper in front of me, but that's what
220 times 6?
per building, yes.
Yep.
Yes, because there's 2 bedrooms, and I think it was 220 per facility, 2 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms,
Are
if I
these-
remember correctly, on 1, 2, and 3,
Are these 4, 5, 6 the same configuration as 1, 2, and 3?
to my knowledge.
Okay, sorry, I just,
But
Doing the math.
they're here to explain to you in great detail, but I just wanted to give a rough idea and what I was thinking in the process. Also, we have yet to take the force main on this would be on the Hines force main, which we assume it to be the same condition as a Narrows force main, but we have not done the scan. We're in the process right as we speak to get a company in there to scan that force main to give us the actual, condition of that, because we know that Narrows is in trouble, and we assume that
With the location of this on Leonard Avenue, that's going to go through a Heinz station?
yes, the Heinz Station, yes, the Heinz Station force main that comes to the plant, you move it down, where their first development, 1, 2, and 3, it parallels, so it comes off Minot Avenue, it shoots to the plant, and that's the Narrows leg. They're gonna tie into the Heinz leg that comes in and shoots to the plant also. And that, we have no knowledge of the condition. We're assuming, because we've got 70 to 90% deterioration on Narrows, we're assuming that Heinz, because they're built at the same time. But we'd like to validate that by running a ball through it and make sure that we have the same type of, and so we're in the process. Wright Pierce is doing that as we speak, so,
The gallonage is the same on both?
to my knowledge, I believe it's 6 units. Again, they can explain to you, but I think it's 6 units. I think it's the same thing we've already approved. They just need to do another one, and I'll let him do his, okay? Thank
So
you, Mr.
if I
Chairman.
could, appreciate that, Guy. So my name is Jim Pavlik, I'm with Outback Engineering, and with me representing the landowner is Brian McCann, and the builder for lots 5 and 6. And as Guy was indicating, we have, along Minot Ave, there were lots 1, 2, and 3, and if I could stand up.
Go right ahead.
Okay, will this pick up, or do I need to hold?
Yeah, and Bob may yell at you for voice.
Okay.
So as best you can, if you
I'll
can
yell.
move it to, best you can.
Will this carry? No.
Got a little bit of,
Okay. Okay, so this is just one of the lots, Lot 4. Just to give you some spatial idea where we are, this is on the north side of Minot Ave. The Agawam River is over here, Depot Street, and the fire station is at this end of Minot Ave. So we're at the far east end of Minot Ave. Lots 1, 2, and 3 are approximately over here. There's another lot in between owned by someone else. So lots 1, 2, and 3 have actually been sold to another entity, and they have building permits for those. The lots have been cleared, so there has been construction started on it. There's just no actual buildings
okay,
up
so,
as yet.
excuse me, so if you sold that already, did they get the gallonage and associated with that sale?
Yeah, my understanding
That
is
already
those
been
those permits
applied?
are still valid.
Well, that's a good question. Usually we do a change of owner.
They can't
There's
be
a
a-
whole new process of
Well, they're
his
not
new
doing a
owner.
swap.
I had no concept, I had no idea. I do know that they cleared the lot, and that's as far as they got, and that was
Building
done.
permits were issued, so.
Okay,
that
so
we had to have
does
sidewalks.
that building permit transfer to, I'll talk to the building department and see what they do with the permits. I don't know. That's a good question.
Because that's going to be a big factor in how you're going to rule on this thing right now.
Okay, so
I mean, if that's in limbo, if that's already been accounted for, if that's already been spent, we may be nowhere to go.
Okay. I understand you need to figure that out, but
Yeah.
just so you are aware of it,
I appreciate
lots
that.
1 through 3 are
New owner.
under construction and separate building permits. So lots 4, 5, and 6. This is 4 here, 5, and then 6. And they're configured fairly the same way. This is one duplex building. There's a fair amount of wetlands on the property, and we're limited due to the wetlands where the building can go. So we're proposing one connection to the force main there. The yellow line represents the force main. There'd be two separate E1 pumps connecting to that. And then this is lot 5. Again, lot 4 was here, lot 6 here. There's going to be a single connection. Lot 6 has another duplex home situated here. There would be a duplex E1 low-pressure line connected to the force main, just a single connection to the force main there. So we're looking for approval for 3 separate lots, duplexes on each, and 2 connections.
And 3 separate enters into the force main?
Two entrances. Lots 5 and 6 are combined at one location. But due to the wetlands, you can see how the wetlands comes right up to the street. It's not feasible to make one connection. Lot 4, the duplex is over here, separated by this wetland. There's a stream that runs across.
So 4 and 5 are gonna be connected together, is that right?
5 and 6.
5
are
and 6 are
together.
connected together.
Well-
4, and then 5 and 6.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes. Go.
I'd like to suggest that we maybe take this under consideration. I think we would be premature in approving this tonight because of the other 3 that have been sitting out there for 3 years. And we're at are very close to capacity now. I think that it wouldn't be prudent for us to approve this at this time. It's my opinion. What does the superintendent say? What do you say when as far as capacity?
So, again, if I had to make a decision, and what I'd recommend is I would switch lots 1, 2, and 3 for 4, 5, and 6, but he's telling me that 4, 5, and 6, 1, 2, and 3 is a new owner. I have to call Dave tomorrow, and he's off, but I'll call him anyways, and get a disposition on those permits. I've seen him in the town, we have an electronic system, but I don't know anything about change of owners, I don't know any of that stuff. Because I'd simply, at this point, to get that project going, I don't have a problem with it, but I would not do 1, 2, and 3. I would take those, say, hey, take these gallons back, and get these gallons, get going. But I think there's separate entities, and I think I need to do some research. So tonight, I'm not prepared to make a decision. Also, I'd like to talk to Wright Piercy how close they are to getting that line investigated too, because I have a concern. That's gonna make some conditions as, like, do we collar that when they tie in? Is there going to be some type of bond, because that pipe is shaky, it breaks the pipe, who's responsible? So that's where I am with it.
At this point, I think you need to continue with your presentation, just so we're up to speed on what you're actually looking for and what we're gonna need, or what we're
Yes.
gonna have to cogitate on, if you will.
Sure, so again,
answer
just,
for you.
if I could,
Go right ahead.
I just would like to stress that it's 2 separate projects, if you will. There's lots 1 through 3, separate owner now, there's a valid building permit there. And lots 4, 5, and 6 are what we're seeking approval for tonight. It's 2 connections, and I don't think it's related to lots 1 through 3. I understand that's a little bit of a
Well, it's not,
concern for the public.
you know, we're using a lot of, the assumption that we were under was that this is still under your purview.
Right,
Now you're telling us it isn't, so that becomes a whole separate and brand-new discussion,
right.
unfortunately. We've been having, serious concerns about lack of capacity. We've got other entities that are looking for, just a minute, we've got other entities that are looking for
So I know,
stuff.
I would just like,
Excuse me.
If I may,
Go right ahead.
if I may, can I represent the owner of the property? First of all.
No, please come up to the mic.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, on lots, I'm looking at this on the 1, 2, and 3, they're asking me to sign off on sewer. So obviously, the town they do not have a signed-off right on sewer. So when the change of use, new permit, I guess that process has to be redone, because I'm on the website now, and sewer's not been approved for 136. And that's a new permit,
136, you said?
I believe.
1 through 6.
136, that's this property here.
And then 124 is the same thing.
Yeah, these-
That's the other one, yes.
That's
No,
4,
these
5,
are,
Yes, so 124 and 136, they need us to sign off on.
that's these, the
These are the lots that are
three
in front.
lots.
Okay, so the other one, what's the other one? What's the address of the other
The
one?
addresses there are 80, it's a hyphenated, 80 and 82,
Okay, let me look at that. Okay, good,
90 and
thank you.
92, and 100 and 102.
Let me look at that, because if they change it, they go redo the permitting process, we have to sign off on that, and so I want to make sure that we did that or didn't, so that's,
Okay.
and so when change of ownership, it triggers a new permit, so I'll follow up on that right now. So 80
If I
to
may,
90.
my name's Brian McCann, I represent the owner of the property. And for your edification, these applications have been in the jurisdiction of the sewer department for almost 11 months now. These were submitted a year ago. And at the time, they were submitted for lots 4, 5, and 6, not 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3 were already submitted and approved 2 years prior to that, so.
They weren't approved back then and didn't come forward back then because we didn't
No,
have
what
we
I'm
didn't have the
saying is
capacity.
lots 4,
In the
5, and
mic,
6
please.
Yeah, that's what you're
were
looking
submitted to your board.
Brian, in the mic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry.
He's yelling at me.
Lots 4, 5, and 6 were submitted for approval to the sewer board back in March of 2019. That's how long these plans have been here in your board.
That's kind of immaterial because they weren't approved because we didn't have the capacity at the time.
You're saying you don't have any capacity right now?
And there was 1, 2, and 3 hadn't been acted upon, so these weren't going to be acted upon.
And for fairness, what he's
1, 2,
saying,
and 3 has been approved.
yes, and
I understand that, but they hadn't been acted on. There's no building done, nothing
Well,
happened.
there has been some site work done, so.
No building was done. They haven't been connected. That allocation was there.
Correct?
We didn't have more allocation to give out. We weren't looking at giving out any more allocation. We had other people that were looking.
Are you
They
telling me
were
right now
longer.
that there's a sewer moratorium in your town?
I won't
And
say
you're
this
at
is-
capacity?
You're in line.
Just asking a question, sir.
Guy, where are we? You're the one.
we have our 60,000 gallons per day remaining, so we're taking it case by case. There's on the table right now probably about 130,000 gallons that people are trying to get in. So in all fairness, I don't have enough gallons for everybody that's applying. So technically, it's open, 60,000 gallons remaining. We have that capacity, and we have well over that of people that want to connect. That's why I said they didn't utilize it, so utilize that, because when people claim gallons and don't use them, that means that somebody else can't have those gallons. But nonetheless, and he is correct, he did submit that in March, and I thought it was lots 1, 2, and 3, so I said, okay, we'll get back to that because we've already done that in their building. I have no idea. So I didn't move it forward because I said I need to move it forward because it wasn't reflected as 3 new separate entities to me when it came in. Shame on me for not reading 124, because I saw 124, 136, thought it was 1, 2, and 3. And I said, oh, so I left it alone. So that's the point he's making. And so his point is because I didn't act, that we should give it to him because I didn't act on that particular. And I'm saying I didn't recognize it as the
No,
particulars
I'm
1,
not
3,
saying that
4,
you
5, and
should-
6.
What I'm saying is it had been submitted 11 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
You would think by now, some action would have been taken on it.
I
within
assumed
the
it to be
past
1,
11
2, and
months.
3, so I thought you guys would start building 1, 2, and 3. I didn't know that 1, 2, and 3 was sold to somebody else. I'm assuming it's all for 1, 2, and 3, so
But
I don't know.
I mean, I don't want to get into spandex or
No, no, I don't either.
disagreement, but if 1, 2, and 3 were already approved, why would we submit another plan?
If you change
Complete set of plans for
ownership, you
4, 5,
would.
and 6.
If you change ownerships, you would, 1, 2, and 3. But I don't know if you were involved, but at the engineering firm, if there's change of ownership, you would submit a new set of plans for new owner. Even though you haven't, you forward them and say, I have new owner. This is change. It's a change of ownership or change of use. It requires another, I got to change my owner. Here's the new things. Yes, these plans, I'm going to resubmit them. They're valid. We've already had them, but there's new ownership. And I'm assuming, and I didn't know what was going on, so shame on me for not calling and saying, hey, but shame on you for not emphasizing it. But I did the best I could, but I didn't think it was new lots. Matter of fact, until the member of the board said, hey, you got new lots going down there, I had no idea. So no way, we're doing 1, 2, and 3. They cleared it. And then other things happened, say, oh, what's going on here? So yes, you did submit, but it wasn't recognized as 3 new lots. I assumed them to be the old lots. And that's my do what you will, but that's what happened.
No, we've already had this discussion ourselves.
Yeah, so that's where we
But
are.
I thought it would be important that the board know that we
Yeah.
did in fact submit 11 months ago for
Appreciate
those
that.
plans.
So we're here now, and we're at between a rock and a hard place, I guess, but we have a builder who's ready to go, and we have all the other approvals from conservation and so on, so the commission here is the last one we need approval from, and I appreciate your considerations.
I guess I'd like to know if we could have some time to figure out our commitment to the new owners of 1, 2, and 3.
Yes, I like to figure that out, because if they're not
All
building,
transferable, have they applied for building permits valid? Are they recent?
I would question the building permits, but I don't know. Does the town just transfer them as they go along? I'm not so sure. Is there a time moratorium on a building permit? I don't think it's forever, so I have to validate all that good stuff, so we'll go look at that.
If the ownership changed, didn't necessarily the building change as well?
I don't have the answers.
Permit
I
process?
think what the bottom line is that we don't have all the answers that we need to make a decision pro or
And I
con.
get there's two separate projects, however.
If I may, just for your notification, the builder of lots 1, 2, and 3 are the ones that generated the building permit for those 3 sites.
Yeah, but he's brought up a point that we've still got the sewer connection. What-
I understand, but you were
Has that
asking, you
transferable?
were wondering,
Has it been
you were
approved?
trying to find out if
Yeah.
we were the ones who got the building permit and then sold the property afterwards. That's not the
That
way
wasn't the
transaction-
case. You
right.
didn't have the building permit.
Correct.
And just to clarify, it's 2 different builders, lots 1, 2,
That's fine.
3 is one builder,
Yeah, no,
Danny here is the builder for
that I think
this
we,
batch of
I
lots.
think that part of it we understood, but,
If the other permits are not valid, then we have those gallons to give.
yeah.
And so let's research that building and see what the status of
Well,
that
I
is.
think- I think we gotta, I know you don't wanna hear this, but I think we need just a little bit of time now to at least get the answers to the questions that we don't have answers to here.
I mean, I appreciate that, but at the same point in time, this gentleman has financing commitments that he's had to extend for quite some time now, because we were under the impression that building permits were issued. We found out, that's how we found out that Guy had never reviewed the plans, was when we went to get the permit. Said, well, this has to go to the engineering department, the sewer department. I said, well, we submitted those plans back in March of last year, under the assumption that everything was okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Go.
obviously, there's a bit of a cluster here, and I'll save the last, I won't say the last word. But I think, we will do diligence, but we can't grant what we don't know tonight. I mean, this is new to me. I'm sure it's new to everyone else. I mean, I just think that it would behoove you folks to, can we have an answer for them in 2 weeks at our meeting? Can we have,
We should be able to.
okay?
I will Monday morning, I'll get all the answers I need for the other permit, et cetera, et cetera. It's been through our engineer, there's nothing wrong with the project, what they talked about for, tying to the sewer, we'll add the collar and we'll add maybe the bonding up to just a cost repair of a section of pipe, something like that, but everything else has been approved through the engineering department, our hired engineers to look at what they're doing, so that's not the issue. The issue is the actual allocation of the gallons, and I just wanted the board to, think on that, so.
Can I ask just one other question? When you say this, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
We're here.
Regarding the remaining capacity of 60,000 gallons, you said there's 130,000 of additional capacity requests?
Yes.
But I'm wondering, is that actual
It's in the,
permits?
no, it's not permits, it's actual requests to tie into the sewer. So they have to all be handled. And that's why we're saying that we've got a limited amount to give out, and we have a lot. So that's why I was saying it's easy to give you 1, 2, and 3, because that's not used. We'll give that and keep you guys going, and then 1, 2, and 3 has to come back and figure it out. That was my thoughts, because it wasn't being used, and I questioned the validity of the permit.
Well,
So that's
Mr.
what I was saying on that particular.
Mr. Chairman, can we
So I thought they were the same
When we're
project.
making the decision and the other 130 that are out there looking to connect, I think it would, in all fairness, to make sure that the date that they applied, if somebody else applied afterwards.
Yes.
I
They
understand. No,
shouldn't be, they
that's
shouldn't
obvious.
be granted in front of these, before
No,
these
that's-
people. And we'll use that date
that will
when you
definitely-
applied. So
And
that
one of
won't
them's a
affect you.
40B, and you know how that goes. One of them's another 40B, you know how that goes.
Oh, yeah, there's nothing
So
we can do.
they may eat all our gallons.
Yeah.
So that's all I was asking. Were they actual applications to the commissioner, or is it just something that you're projecting for the future?
No, the engineers have called me and they're submitting these plans, which I'll get over to the sewer commissioners. So it's all in the works, and these have been, especially 40B, they've been in the works for some time now, months and months and months. But they physically haven't come forward. And as far as I told them, I'm concerned, is if it's not in front of me, then it doesn't exist. So that's why they're all getting them in, because they know.
That's what I was getting at,
And we
so.
did the advertisement on the last meeting that we have issues, and so it's out there. And so everybody's scrambling.
And in deference to you there, we've still got another, one of our clients is looking for another 100,000 gallons. Independent of what you're talking about right now.
Right, and they're already a customer.
And they're already.
They're already online.
So, I mean, and they're not getting it right now.
Okay.
Put them,
And this is a challenge for us. We didn't expect to get to this point also. It's just kind of after this year, and a lot of it's to do with the wet weather, but we all of a sudden find out that we're at 76% of our capacity. Now we have to address it with the DEP. So we certainly didn't plan on this. And here it is, and now we have to do something about it. And we have to be very concerned about what we have left for capacity. And we also have to concern wet weather, because that's an unknown that just drives us nuts too. So those are new, revelations to us, so we're trying to deal with it.
Aye,
So we're-
issues.
Oh, yeah, we're struggling with it also, so this is,
Just one other thing, that Dan here, who is the builder, any concern on time, any concerns about time frame of construction, they've already placed deposits on these, they're gonna be modular project, it's gonna be a modular project there, they've already placed their deposits on the buildings. So they've already had funds invested, their intention is to go in and start immediately as soon as everything is signed off and approved. So your concern about a time delay for any construction is not warranted in this case. They're going to begin immediately.
well, we'd like to get this thing cleared up and off our
As would
table
we, to be honest with you.
as fast as we can, but as I say, tonight, we're just not gonna be able to give you the answer you're looking for.
Okay?
All right, so, I don't know if we need to request a continuance, or if you guys will just table it to the next meeting.
I believe, and through Mr. Chairman, they'll probably table it, and we'll get all the answers we have, and they can
Do
make a
that,
better
and
evaluation.
We will definitely have an answer at the next meeting.
I make a motion that we table this until our next meeting.
Yep. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank
We
you.
will have an answer for you with that.
Can I just ask one question?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
So if, Danny Lewis, again, I'm the developer. So if we date back the 11 months when the first application came in, do we know what the capacity was back then? What was available back 11 months when that was originally filed?
I can get that through engineers. They've been following this for a year, so a yearly average is well over the numbers we need for the DEP, so I'll get specific.
So I'm just wondering if
So-
we're gonna fall in the queue here. And also, is there a plan in place to increase the capacity, or?
We have a lot of plans in place, and we're getting ready to spend, so,
Okay, let me just hit that one. One of our big problems is not so much as the plant capacity as the expulsion. We can only produce so much into the river. DEP won't let us go any further than that, and that's where our maximums come in. And we can only get within a certain percentage of that maximum before they shut us off. And we're tickling right around that right now.
Okay, thank you.
It's the maximum, that's the chokehold that we have, not the plant capacity as much.
Thanks.
Mr. Chair, we need a vote on the motion to table. I have a motion, but I don't have a vote recorded.
Well, let's have a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I vote.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sorry we couldn't give you the answer you wanted, but
we'll do it Monday.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question of Guy?
no,
Okay.
yes, you can, go ahead.
Guy, can you give us how many projects have been approved since March, and the capacity for those projects that were approved since those plans were submitted?
I'll get it for you. I'll look at what we
Just
got.
that gives me an idea of how much should we pass out with this on the table, not recognizing it as a new project. And we just had, what, 10 new homes approved off of Charlotte Furnace? Do they have they
No, nothing
got
to do
the
with sewer.
capacity?
Charlotte
They don't have
Furnace,
sewer down. Oh, that's right, too. They're
that's
septic
non-sewered.
systems.
They're doing septic systems. And I can give you all the, I mean, there's things
Oh,
that
that's just-
I'm not even aware of.
Totally forgot.
And Ken called
Ignore
me and said he's got a ton of projects the town of Wareham has, and they're all in the paper, and they haven't been
Have
through
we
the process.
given anything to Viking Drive? Not to Viking, what's the one?
Littleton,
Littleton. Have we
and
given
that in
anything?
itself is huge.
Have we given anything to Littleton?
This board is, and I have committed to nothing, but I know the town has already got out to RFP, they're bidding it, they're ready to go, so
But
no,
they have no,
come in
nothing
front of
from
this
us for
board.
sewer?
No.
For
no.
Littleton Drive?
No. And there's another factory going up. I think it's going up in the Cranberry Plaza for more marijuana. They're doing that. We don't know. And I got a call from GAF that's working in conjunction with the town. There's another 40B going up down on Red Brick Road. They're getting ready to get that filed in the whole
Right
nine yards, so
now,
I
it is,
don't know.
nothing gets approved until we get some further clarification as to what.
Absolutely.
I believe so.
Nothing.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Not even word of mouth saying, oh, yeah, we can handle it. Nothing more.
believe so.
Not,
And-
no single home, no nothing.
My answer always is that's the decision of the sewer commissioners, and you need to get a letter to them. Whether they get it immediately or not, that's up to them. This particular case, I was working on lots 1, 2, and 3. I had no idea it was 4, 5, and 6. It was never clarified. I didn't read 124, 80, 90, whatever, doesn't mean anything to me when I see the plans. And the plans are pretty much the same. So I said, okay, we've got that, we're good. So.
Just for, I am
Have
on
you
the
seen the
Conservation
plans for 1 and
Commission.
2?
1, 2, and 3, about 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago.
Wasn't that long ago.
You, s-
What we saw originally, that project was dragged out for a long time before we gave them approval.
Maybe you, but Conservation has reviewed all 6 building sites and has approved all 6 building sites. Yes,
And usually,
Yeah.
the sewer has not been the loop, and that's been our main issue, because eventually it comes to us, they get, I mean, I'm getting hit, but then people like to congratulate us on our beer factory. What beer factory? Oh, it's going up in Memorial Day, it's getting ready to rock and roll, town's approved it the whole 9 yards. That's not the case, I don't even know what they're doing there.
you mean the one on Main Street next to CVS?
We don't even know what they're doing there. I said to the engineer, I haven't even seen your plans. Is it a closed system, open system? What are you gonna do with bad beer? You're gonna dump it? Where's it going? What's your BOD? What's your temperature? What's this? Well, what do you mean? I gotta have all that information to present to the
That
board
hasn't
before we
been
even approved it. No, but they're saying they're ready to open. And these things happen throughout town.
See, this isn't fair to the people. This is, not-
Is everybody in inspections clear that it is a change of use? Mac, I can't hear a word you're saying. Well, I'm speaking Israel.
Yes, it's a change of use, change of owner.
Now it's on.
Now it's on.
And I don't know if they know it's a change of ownership on lots 1, 2, and 3, and I will find out, because they may not know.
Keep in mind that Conservation, if there's been a change, we don't have someone come back to us if the plan stays the same regardless of owner. So I don't know if the building department
Building
is.
permits have a lifetime, I don't know what it is, but they have a lifetime. They go away. If you don't use them, they go away. They go away.
2 years.
2
They
years.
don't exist.
2 years.
So I don't
but
know.
when the owner changes, the contractor can too, and therefore it wouldn't be the same signees on the permit.
So there's some issues that I don't even know about.
It could possibly not be.
If it's a different contractor, it has to be a different
Well-
permit process.
They indicated it was the same contractor, but now it's a different owner. The owner's usually part of that permit.
Well, I've got some researching to do to
Now,
get back to
what-
us.
Unless the builder is the owner / developer. So we need to find out, that's all I was
There's too many
saying.
questions.
All right, so guys,
Just need some
Guy is
time.
gonna get those answers, and we'll get back to us.
Give them the answers.
Now, along with all of these questions,
We
Guy,
said
when,
no,
when-
we
when
just
they,
need
when they
more
give you the
information.
plans, where this is going into a force main, they have to have backup and pumps and so forth, correct?
It's on there, yes, and we did that.
But that's all on the plans?
Yes, they have.
Well, I mean, he mentioned that they were really restricted because of the wetlands. Where's the tanks going to be?
Well, the wetlands doesn't affect the sewer. It affects septic.
But wouldn't it affect the location of a holding tank?
It's all, no, because you can put buoyancy to keep it in the water if it's wet. There's things you can do, but I think it's watertight anyways, and you can keep it down, and then you put lines. That's not, because it's all closed with force mains, it's all
Conservation let
closed.
that go? Let you dig in the wetlands to put a tank in?
No.
No, they build in the
The
upland.
plans do not include any digging in the wetlands or 30 feet within the wetlands.
So if you look at the plans, the front of the building, by the road is where they're putting these units in the upland.
30 feet, no.
That's where they're putting the manholes.
Really?
But the point,
It was 100.
We're talking about 3 separate backup systems.
so the backup system as far as electricity, that becomes, and this is where my problem we have with the, originally and continue, is that they're saying it's the owner's responsibility. So I get concerned because I think it should be on the deed that A, there's a grinder pump, B, that the owner's responsible for that grinder pump. So if the power goes out, shame on them, it's not on us. And if it backs up into the building, they own it because they have check valves, there's 2 check valves. And so that all has to be clear and deeded.
Isn't that all in our policies?
It is, so they agreed to it, but now I said, on the plans, but the plans do nothing for the owner. I've got the plans, you have the plans. Jim buys it, and they say, okay, good. They don't tell Jim that he's responsible. 8 months later, something happens, Jim calls the sewer department, hey, and I say to Jim, that's on you. Nobody told me, so I'm telling them that needs to be deeded. Either there's an association or deeded, it needs to be, so when you sign your deed, it says, I am responsible for that grinder pump. And if it backs up, I own it.
Backup.
Absolutely, I'm responsible for everything.
But now we're talking about 3 separate systems.
And, yes,
You're talking about one for 1 and 2, and you're gonna tie 5 and 6 together. There's another one, and 4 is separate.
yeah, so the 1, 2, and 3 has, 1, 2, and 3 we did differently. We took 3 units, tied it into one, only one tie into the pipe.
Okay, so that's one.
And that's what we told them to do. On the new system, they can't do that, because I asked for the same thing, they can't do it, because there's a river, separating them, they're going to, so they're gonna have 2 connections. So it's gonna be 3 connections, 1 on narrows and
So
2
that's
on
3
highs. 3 connections,
backups.
yes, potential, in those buildings. And so we wanted
3
redundancy.
holding tanks.
There's actually gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holding tanks, 2 connections to the sewer, and there's gonna be double check valves for each system. If that check valve fails, we've got the redundant. If they both fail, then there's some serious issues. And that's life. But the bottom line is this department's not responsible for that. They're the owners, and they get relayed to their buyers that this is your responsibility. And I get concerned because that's not transferred to the owner. They have a problem that they don't know about. And that's what I'm asking for, is they deed it. So when you buy it, you know, there's no guessing on your part.
Is that something that is gonna be a requirement of this board to put as a policy for?
I believe we have it, we'll review it. It
for that-
says,
For the deeding of the information?
yes, I believe it's a policy. I'll dig it up to be
Yeah,
sure.
'cause I
Yes,
don't
because we have connective
remember
force
that,
mains.
okay.
And I'll be sure it's there, because we said that right along, that the only way that the buyer's guaranteed to know is if it's on his deed.
Well, I agree with you. Okay,
How
moving on.
how long are our permits valid for?
Ours, they're valid for 30 days. You do it or you don't. You don't do it, we take it away.
So how many do we have that haven't done anything in 30 days that we can take away?
Let me look, I'm
I was
not so
just
sure.
trying to think.
I can't answer.
You're saying 1, 2, 3, the 1, 2, and 3.
These have been forever. We gave them those, and they, but
It wasn't 4 years.
I'm saying, it's got to be at least, 2015. 2015 is one of my first correspondence with 1, 2, and 3. And then, because it was dragged out in the beginning. It was really a cluster. Then they got an owner, they
So
got
that-
permission, and
so
then,
If it's,
Okay, well, let's just get
yeah,
that
I mean, just
information
that,
together
who's
for
to
us.
say who
because-
is out there that hasn't used it, that we can take
he'll-
it back?
we'll look at our
He will get-
permits.
he will
I'll look at
get
permits
that.
issued. They expire in 30 days.
You know, if you can put that together at the same time, so that when, our next meeting, we can hit that around too, so we know what we're doing. Because right now, we're just shooting at the windmill.
We are.
Superintendent's report, sir.
Gosh, so I want to say something, and I mean this. The last meeting we had with the selectmen, they indicated that there's some negligence on our part because we have pumps and stuff that are not down. I want to clarify to the public and to our users and to this board that we're repairing things as best we can, because everything's costly. As an example, there was a leaking pump that Russ bought forward. We ordered that pump. That's a $33,000 pump, and it's an 18-week delivery time. It finally got here. Now when it's here, we got to take a new stuffing box, and we got to put a part on it. So when we have an issue, it isn't like that we can fix it overnight. What we do is we do the best we can to keep it running so the plant can run until we get the new motor in. We've got new motors going in right now into the pump station at Smith's Ave because they were really bad. They were really, the check valves was really hammering the pipe, and the neighbors were complaining about it, rightfully so. That pump it didn't exist anymore. We had to get a new order. We had to order a pump and have them build it. That was probably 22 weeks, I think, almost a half a year to get those pumps in.
That's pretty much industry-wide.
Absolutely.
No matter what industry it is, there's a time lag. Nobody's got
Nobody shelves it.
shelf ready.
And so we will notify, we got a problem, we'll order the parts, we'll order the motors, whatever we have to do with the pumps, and we have to wait for them to come in. And in the interim, we can't shut the plant down, so we do whatever we can to keep things running until we get the new components in. And I just want everybody to be clear of that. It isn't like we're neglecting, everything is so timely and costly. And so we're doing our very best. I want everybody to know that.
I think the board as a whole is pretty much aware of all of that.
Yes, we are, and we're not
This isn't-
criticizing.
This isn't new information.
I just want the board and the public to know that we because it bothered me a little bit that I'm thinking, but anyways, that's where we are with that.
Take it from whence it comes.
I know, it's just, but the public has to be aware of, we are diligently repairing things, and there's a lot to do. And some things take specialty tools and specialty components. Smith, they're jackhammering like crazy over there because it's all rebuilt, and if you have a chance to go to Smith's pump station, you'll be amazed what they're doing there. And they're reconfiguring the whole thing. It's not just drop a pump in because they don't exist anymore. I wanted the board to be aware of that. I told you about Christiana starting. We're pretty excited about that, and she's going to work directly for this board, so I think I'll make sure you all have her contact. She has your contacts. We have them there, make sure they're updated, and you'll be talking to her specifically as the minutes, et cetera. You'll be working with her, and you'll be working with her specifically, Mr. Chairman, for the agendas, and any other commissioner has any issues or concerns or they need something, you will call her and she'll get it to you. All right, so I want to make sure we're all on the same page of that.
Guy,
Yes.
I just noticed on this letter that was in our packet, he said that they applied in March of 19? Well, these plans weren't done till November of 19.
Well, he's saying they sent a letter with preliminary, et cetera, he sent it to us. There's a formality. But they made original contact many months ago, and to be frank, it didn't make it, I'm thinking lots 1, 2, and 3. It made no sense to me, and okay, what's going on? I filed it away and we're done. And I wasn't aware until the town said, hey, Guy, what about that? What about these? I said, well, we've done those. He goes, no, these are new. I'm sorry. So at that point in time, we'll look at them. But yes, and there's our communication with Outback Engineering. That's why I want you to have the communication that we had. And then I finally got it to our engineers to review it. But it's out there. It's.
Okay. What else, Guy? Got a bunch of stuff.
No, that's pretty much it. We're working, I've got a proposal, I'll get it to you next meeting. The engineering for the outfall, the hydrogeological study for the outfall that he suggested, that Derek suggested across the road on Minot Ave. So we'll get that moving, and I don't want to dally any on that.
That's for the ground discharge.
Yes, sir. I don't want to dally. The process in itself is 3 to 4 years if we rush it through, if we do everything in a timely manner. If we do not do it in a timely manner, it's going to be longer. And all these projects coming forward, and I'm trying to get a grasp of reality. You may want to do a 40B, that's not a problem, but it may not happen for 3 years. I need to know that. I don't want everybody, because I don't want to give out gallons till you're close to the point where you need them, opposed to just giving them out and let you, in the future, you can have them. I think we're at the point where there's no more of that. If you can't use them right now, you can't have them.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking, because we're in that
Then
position.
take a look at Woodland Cove. They approved 5 units, they're only building 2 to start with.
Woodland Cove is,
The 40B off Red Brook.
have they started?
They're working on the first 2, they're getting their funding for the first 2, so there's nothing in the works for the next 3.
Yeah, so Woodland Cove had a,
I'd look at pulling the gallonage back on the additional.
we could, because they had a proposal, Woodland Cove, and they laid it out.
I'm aware of at least one large project that hasn't happened yet.
Yes.
30 days.
Let me see.
'Cause either you do it or you don't.
Oh,
Well, I'm concerned, and I wasn't even thinking about it, but hoarding of gallons.
That's my concern. You can get a project out there and say you want the gallons, we give them to you, and you don't stop for 4 years. That's not fair. Hoarding gallons is happening. I will look into, because they called, Woodland called, originally they called about 6 months ago, they want to start the commercial part of it. But come to find out, the commercial's a different owner, but they have permission to tie into Woodland Cove. That's new to me. I brought that to Ken's attention, saying, what's going on here? I'm getting hammered to do the industrial. And they can't do industrial until they do the first phase of Woodland Cove. So there's got to be some give here. We got to figure this out. And so we may need to revisit Woodland Cove, and not that we say no, but say that if you're only doing this part in 2 years, then that's all you get, and you have to reapply down the road for the other gallons. Because you're right, it's not fair, because we have an issue for them to tie gallons up.
213. A week later, he gets 2160.
So I agree. We can look at all the projects, but that's out there, it's open. We're doing a lot with, they've got 12 units at Bay Point. They got approved for a lot more than that. What is their time frame? They've got 30,000 gallons. What is their
So
time frame?
You're going to give us a list of everything that has been permitted but not implemented.
Yep. And then we'll look at it, because those gallons are taken.
Yeah, because, well, with everything that's on the books right now that you're aware of, that I've heard about, that you know about, and they haven't been allocated, some of these things are gonna be coming online, or theoretically coming online real soon, and they're gonna need something. So if we've got allocation out there that's not utilized, as far as I'm concerned, we should pull it and reallocate it.
Yes. They haven't completed Wareham Palace Place yet. They got some more to do there.
Yeah, but,
Robinson's
I mean, all
project
those.
is not, they
Yeah.
got one building. You're right, it goes on and on and on. These gallons are not being,
Yeah,
So-
but just a second, Mr. Chairman. That project on Swift's Beach, now that house is built, and they're allocated, we know
that's
they
right.
haven't
They're
taken.
just waiting to tie in.
But I mean, we can't very well pull their allocation,
No,
can we?
they're waiting, they're
Not
done.
now that the building is
I'm
up.
not talking about that. I'm talking about the ones that haven't gone up yet.
They haven't been built yet.
Yeah, okay.
No, I wouldn't, he's waiting for the timing of the year, because the DPW has to get permission to cut the road, and they're not giving it to him yet. They're waiting till spring because he can't get asphalt. That's not his fault, that's our fault, the town's fault, because we can't let him cut the road yet. And he's got a contract ready to go. So he's ready, but I just can't, weather conditions, coldness, time of year, the town will not allow him to cut into the road.
Yeah, unless you, trust me, Wareham's the only town that does not allow you to cut into the road, and we finally were able to do ours a week and a half ago. They wouldn't let National Grid.
So, and it's weather-related, because sometimes plants will open. I guess this winter's been crazy, so plants are on and off, fire up an asphalt plant.
It's closed February 1st, they did.
Okay, so that's the issue. So you're right, Peter, to reassure you, we're not going to stop something that's already there and waiting on. They've done everything they could, and the town has an issue, so I can't, that wouldn't be fair.
No.
No, that wouldn't be fair. But we have the other parcel next to it by the highway. There's proposals for
That's why we want to get that list, so.
yes, because there's a proposal for some houses there.
And, we know the
There's
stuff.
3
that's going.
separate contracts looking to build there,
You're gonna have ones that are gonna want to tie into the sewer that will increase the flows.
What's going in at where Maxi Gas was?
That's going to be like the mobile station. The Higgins family sold the mobile station, they're going to duplicate that at that place. They don't have permission to tie in yet, but they're building. They're building, they're getting ready, they're going to have the building up and everything.
And they don't have permission to tie in.
No, they do not.
And what about the 3 lots in front of Walmart?
In front of Walmart, so
We know that
there's a Delta, Aspen
The
Delta,
dentist.
Aspen Delta,
Dental.
whatever it is. One of the dental
Yeah,
shops, yes.
in the middle.
They presented that, we've seen and remember, we already gave the allocation of 12,000 gallons per day for that development. We don't have nearly those gallons, because that's all they're doing, so they need
Here's
to,
another project in which gallons have been allocated and nothing has
Yes.
okay, just.
they can pull back on those gallons.
Well, that's the whole point. Well, let's get the
So we'll
list
do a list
together,
and-
let's
We need a
take a
list.
look at it, and then we'll discuss it.
We can look at,
Because
yeah,
right now,
absolutely,
right now, we're just tilting at that windmill.
yes, we are.
I don't, I-
Knowledge is dangerous, yeah.
I think builders should be aware of this situation. I can't emphasize how important it is that we let people know, hey, look, we're just about at max.
I want you to know that,
It'd be nice if we knew first.
I want you to know that I've talked to the engineers in town, and around town that do a lot of these buildings.
Toothless tiger.
And I told them, listen, guys, we have a capacity issue. And so if you're gonna dally, if you got projects, you better bring them forward, because once the gallons are gone, they're gone. And so I'm trying to make people aware, and what they do with it is not, it is what it is. There's a public meeting, we had it here, Selectmen had a meeting, we talked about capacity, we're not hiding it. It's due diligence. It's the same thing with this gentleman, they gotta, I haven't heard, let me call. I can be a jerk because I'm waiting for a pump and I don't see it in 6 weeks, I'm calling. Hey, it's 6 weeks, you told me 6 weeks. They should do the same, hey, where's my permit? I just think we all have a responsibility to make sure, so. But I'll follow up on it, get you all the list and the whole 9 yards, but everybody has a responsibility here. But I am notifying people, I'm not letting it, because it's critical. The beer guy came in and I says, I can't, you're not getting a permit, I need this and that, so.
They say they said last meeting, okay, fastest way is to get them to understand what's going on is to shut them off.
Say no.
Did that before. They don't want to listen. You nickel dime around here.
It's crazy. Every time I read the
Waste of
paper
time.
today, the paper time I'm reading the paper today, Wareham Weekend, we've got another pot factory going up down. I said, wait a minute, I know nothing about this. And yeah, the guys said, we got this, we got this, we're going to rehab the building, we're doing this. Well, people are spending money.
Well,
They don't know.
it comes down to the economic development should be the one in the contact with you all the time. And they're not. They're going out beating bushes, trying to be, Joe Lollipop. And it just is not working.
Absolutely. And he should be here to explain to the commissioners what he has in the pipeline.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, is he should be in direct contact with you all the time. And that's not the case.
So there's a lot going on there. So that's where we are with that.
Who is the first body in the town to be contacted when a project is coming in?
Planning, it could, depending on what it could be zoning for new zoning, planning, community development's involved. They're the first.
Who would be the first? If I was to come into this town and want to put up a plant of any type, a house,
Go to the
who's the
inspectional.
first person?
You'd go to
I would think
inspectional
building
services.
inspectors.
Yeah, you'd go to
Building.
inspectional services, tell them what you'd like to do. And then from there, they would direct you. If it's going to be a development and there's going to be a planning about, roads and all that, then they'll make you take it to the planning board. If there's some zoning issues, they'll make you take it to zoning issues. But you would walk downstairs into the inspection service and say, hey, listen, I want to build this house. And they would direct you.
If I want to build a house, obviously, I'm going to go to the building department. If I want to build anything else, I have to go to the building department. But before I went to the building department, I contacted somebody in town to find
Planning.
out the feasibility.
Planning.
Who was that?
Ken, planning. There are a lot of calls come to Ken what they'd like to do, planning.
Ken or planning.
Planning or Ken, but usually Ken,
One of
who
those
works with
two.
planning, so it'd be planning.
Ken is the charge of planning.
That's what I'm saying, it'd be
Yeah,
planning.
he's the planner, he's the town planner.
Yeah. So
it'd be Ken, but
basically be
planning.
him
You'd go to planning.
On everything.
Who?
Ken Buckland, he's the town planner.
And Ken's first call should be, hey, let me call Sue and see if you got capacity, 'cause I don't want you to waste your time and money. It's just my thoughts.
Yep.
Because this department should be one of the first people you contact. Once you come to the town, now you need to know if you need sewer, is the capacity available?
That's
You're
the
right.
point I was getting at. Who is the first person they come to? And I was going to suggest it would behoove us to have a member present at their meetings.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're telling me it's just Ken, then that can happen any day of the week, any time of day.
And I believe the responsibility of Ken or anybody in that position is to talk to the builder and say, before we move forward, before you spend engineering money, planning money, et cetera, let's make sure that you can do this. So they do the zoning, you can do it in the zone. Now, is there sewer available? Yes or no? These are the questions that need to be asked before you spend a nickel.
Well,
And
Mr.
water.
Chairman,
And water, I mean, it's really, I would think.
Okay,
say, what'd you say?
I said, I'll talk to George Barrett.
I was going to ask if you thought it might be wise to send a letter to Ken telling him the board's position.
I did. I've let Ken know about the
And-
board. I'm sorry.
You know, before he says okay to anything, to at least have a conversation with Guy.
I've told him, but it'd be probably more, if you will, impact if the board drafted something and signed by the board that, listen, due to the capacity issues, all decisions should, should be brought to our
Well,
attention
right
sooner than
now,
later.
I believe we've just said everything's on hold.
Yeah,
So we need,
absolutely, it's on hold.
I do recommend that our chair put together a letter to Planning Department that everything is on hold. No more permits for capacity are being issued until we do some more research.
Well, that's what I was saying, but if the first person they're gonna come to is Ken,
Yeah,
then who's the letter going to?
to Ken Buckland, the chair of planning,
I'd say what, letter to him and copy to the planning department.
and copy,
A copy to the town administrator.
and to TA.
I think it's important.
So, I mean, to me, it goes to Ken. Ken, we have an issue, we have not, we had a project, we didn't give them any capacity, be aware that we're there. And copy, Derek. Do you need a motion for you to write that letter?
I don't need it, but
Okay,
And also keep in mind on increased flow. Would be in that category also.
I'm sorry, run that by again?
You have an existing building and you want to increase the flow of that building, you would need to tell us you need to
Okay,
increase the flow because it's not increased flow, because
I thought
we,
you said decrease, I'm sorry.
no, decrease I'd welcome,
Yeah, welcome,
but
right.
increased flow, they need to know, because somebody can just increase their flow.
Right, understand, gotcha.
That's my thoughts also.
It's complicated, because we could get ourselves in a position quite easily where we exceed capacity.
And that's what we're trying to stop, absolutely.
Very complicated.
We're at 76%, and we'll see 80% very soon. And that triggers a whole lot of things from the DEP. And one is to be very careful about allocations. And we have an I&I issue, and those are gallons that are gone, that we can't even talk about because they already stripped the capacity.
yes, I can see it now,
So that's-
we will be blamed for no growth in the town of Wareham.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Heads up.
To be frank with you, ma'am, we've been saying this for years.
I
This
know
is
we
nothing
have,
new.
but this is the
nothing
first
new.
time I've ever seen a project tabled because of the capacity issue.
We knew it was coming, and I think the town knew it was coming. See, we tend to think that's not going to happen. And again, let's say, I'm going to be frank, the last 3 years with the wet weather, it's exasperated the situation, because we've got no capacity. When it rains for 3 days, we have zero capacity. And so that's something I don't think anybody planned on. We talked about it, thought about it. I don't think everybody thought it was real, but here it is. Now it hit us in the face. Here we are.
that's what we've got right now, the plans going in for, to at least
That's right.
help that. It's not gonna increase capacity, but it's gonna
It's going to give us an
protect.
That's right. And then, because if we move and this is how critical that groundwater is, then we can treat 2 million gallons a day. That gives you about 400,000 gallons automatically. And that'll take care of anything we want, plus the town's growth. And then as we continue to move down to the canal, and if that doesn't become a reality, we make sure we have enough land that we can expand that, the groundwater, so we can continue to grow the town. That's important. That's why that's probably the hottest item and the highest priority this town has right this moment is to get some type of discharge. Highest priority.
We've said that for 5 years,
Yes, I know. I
not
know.
new,
Yeah.
And that became, now it's,
same drum.
and here we are.
But at least, I mean, we've made progress on that. We've made progress on it from the standpoint that there's been the engineering and all that BS work done, to satisfy Mickey the Dunce and the rest of the
Regulators.
ones out there. It's there. So now the only problem we have is getting the approval from the state to be able to run what we want to run. Know what we need to run, actually. Okay,
So that's where we are, and I'll bring that stuff forward for Russ and the whole 9 yards, but from as far as I'm concerned, I think the board agrees, we got to move that forward. So I'll continue to move that forward, and we'll keep going, because it's critical, I believe, so. And that's pretty much it. We're, a lot going on at the plant. We had some rain, filled the basin, emptied the basin, so we're really pushing a lot through. We start our process for springtime. April 1st, our permit takes effect again. It takes us a month to prepare for it, because we got to change the plant from dormant. All the bacteria that's been dormant in the back end of the plant, we got to make it alive. Temperature, food, nutrients, we got to get it to come alive so it can start treating. Nitrogen right now is just reporting. Thank God we're around 5, 6, 7. We need to get down to less than 4, so we'll start that process immediately. We ordered some bacteria, we ordered some micronutrients, and we'll get that stuff going to kick the plant, because April 1st, we're online with our permit.
Are you feeding the imitation beef burgers from Burger King or whatever?
I'm not so sure we're gonna go this year, but it's gonna be sweet. Excuse me, sweet, it's gonna be sweet. There's all kinds of new products out there, and I don't know if they're worth trying, but there's a lot of new products. There's gonna be a day when aluminum is not gonna be allowed to be discharged in the river. We use polyaluminum chloride to precipitate out our phosphates. The federal government's already talking about that going away, so we're looking at a product now that has no aluminum in it. I may play with it a little bit, but I got to rely on what works, because I can't violate permit. But I'm going to play with it a little bit, hopefully next month when we're not in permit, to see if that works, because they've already warned us. The federal government always warned us that they're going after aluminum. And we put a ton of aluminum in because we use polyaluminum chloride. So we got to prepare for that. So that's a new thing on our plate that we got to prepare for. Just want the board to be aware of that. We're going to work that in March.
Okay, Guy, I'm going to skip on.
I'm done.
Go, Sandy.
I do have a question for Guy. I have,
Can you put it in writing?
yes, I will.
We'll get back to you.
Can I, this is just, I got my sewer bill and I read the little blue piece of paper and I'm saying, in case of emergency, call somebody and the staff will bring generators to your property to power up the grinder pumps?
Isn't that that's under grinder pumps? That's been our policy since we put grinder
I
pumps
know,
in.
but how do you know how many generators do we have to go out of we only have one generator? So
So-
it will go from I'm just
We'll go house to
house
house.
to house. And how do we hook up is there a plug or something right in the grinder pump
It's already in your
itself?
grinder pump. We'll
Okay,
hook
so
up the generator.
It won't power the whole house?
No, just the
okay.
pump.
And we'll go from house to house, so you get several hours and move on, okay, I guess I read the back of this, I read
First
this-
time?
I read the thing for the first time, so that's why I had that question.
a
Thank you
test.
very much. I'm sorry. I wasn't,
Okay,
it's falling apart.
while you're still talking, Guy, you just want to,
How do you isolate
Cap.
the grinder pump?
Sorry?
Cap C Street.
How do you
with-
isolate the grinder pump?
It's already isolated. On the side of the building is a control panel.
That's all.
It's already there. So what we do is, when the power goes out, that control panel goes out. We bring our generator, we have a plug that we take to your control panel, we plug it into the control panel and run your pump. We drain your pump. Once your pump is drained, then we leave.
Go on, next,
Sorry,
That's
I
it.
just, one more,
That's-
one
So you
more,
have the plug below the disconnect? Okay.
and one more question. At the last meeting, you talked about some type of financial assistance.
So let me be clear.
Just,
No, there's no financial assistance. What we're saying, if your bill's due, let's say it's due February 10th, I don't even know the date, but let's say March, let's say it's March 18th. You can pay it, between now and March, you can pay it every week if you want to get to March 18th.
and you still have interest.
No, once you pass March 18th, you got to pay the interest, but you can continue to go. So all
So
we're
I'm just
saying,
Mr. Foster, I had no idea that we had that, never mind.
oh, no, well, Mr. Foster is the one that told it to me last year,
Okay.
so he's very well aware. So when he called me, I said,
So
John, we talked.
anybody can do a timely payment, timely payment on their sewer bill, but after a certain period of time, they'll be paid interest on
Penalties,
18% interest rate?
I
Is
don't
that
know
what
what
it
it
is?
is.
That- I think it's 18%.
So once you pass, so you as a consumer say, okay, my bill is $313. I don't have that, so I'll pay $50 a week, starting today, and I get there, so I'm still short $100. I'll stretch that
Okay,
out.
so that's-
Interest is minimal.
So
That's a decision.
this isn't anything special. They could probably make partial payments on their taxes if they want.
Absolutely.
But you'll be paying heavy-duty interest.
Interest.
Okay, thank
And you can start
No,
into,
thank you for clarifying it.
that's what it is, yeah.
because-
You can pay your sewer bill all year long.
I know a lot of people that do that.
Okay,
There are
let's,
people.
Okay, sorry, I
move-
just
let's
move
move
on.
on now. We're getting sidetracked on stuff here. Let's finish this.
C Street.
Yeah, it's, give me C Street. Where are we with, what's happening with them now?
So we're getting ready to, I have engineering, I've got 3 engineers in our list we're interviewing to give us a plan to do that. C Street's going to be lined. We've got a budgetary number from one of the contractors that does aquatic safe lining. I have that number. What we didn't figure, and we did the $600,000 originally, what we didn't talk about was refurbishing the beach along the manhole, redoing the walls. We didn't talk about matting. There's going to be a tremendous amount of matting so we can crawl along the ground to do all this on the beaches. We didn't talk about matting. That's an added price. Police details are going to be horrendous because when we start doing, we're going to close roads down, and that's one way in, and then it becomes an emergency nightmare. So we need to get more detailed. Then I got to bypass 3 separate areas because everything dumps into that C Street. So that's trucks running around like a maniac trying to get that done. So when we did all the costs, it was like 1.1 million rough. So what I'm saying is that the $600,000 isn't going to cut it. It's just not going to cut it anymore.
Extra 400 and...
Yes, so that's why I want to do an article to get that up and running, so it's just not going to cut it. But we're there, we're ready to go, and we're going to have the final engineering, and it's
You need
just,
an article for another 400,000, is that?
I think, yes, that's what I'm saying, we need, absolutely, that's C Street.
And Peter, do you have anything you want to add on the town charter? On what's going on with the charter commission?
No, it's just what we covered last week, our last meeting. And did you hear anything on the 2 motions that were made regarding that?
Which 2 motions?
You were going to find out exactly what this is?
That wasn't on the charter commission, that was,
Well,
that was
it come
separate.
up under,
That was separate,
it come up under,
but that was still separate.
okay,
Get to that one at the end.
well, oversight of the enterprise fund. Wasn't that,
There were
We
2,
discussed-
we asked him to find out 2 questions. What was the total cost of the audit and why we had our,
65,000.
and why our percentage was high?
it was 55,000?
Audit.
65.
And
And the second question is to clarify the authorization of hiring the consultant and what that duties are. Those were the 2 questions we had asked for.
number 1, the TA has the authority to do that, and he can do that without,
I thought contractors we had to approve. He's a
he
contractor.
can do that, he can handle it. He has hired this gentleman to do reorganization of the sewer department, in essence. That's not specifically right, I'm phrasing it wrong.
Well,
But the-
I thought we were supposed to be involved with contractors. He's being paid a contractor. I don't
he
understand.
is hired by Derek directly to do work for him, which is the sewer department, is what he's having him do
Oh, no,
work for.
but it's coming out of our budget. It's coming out of our budget. So we should
Town budget,
know
town
about it.
budget.
We should have something to say about it. I'm sorry. That doesn't fly with me. It doesn't fly with me. I mean, you see what you see what he's been paid.
Unfortunately, he's been on vacation he's on vacation this week, so I haven't been able to talk to him.
Who?
Derek,
Well, what about, he's only been on vacation this week.
this week.
Okay.
Last week, he was tied up in meetings every time I was up there.
Trying to get our,
School
articles ready.
department and
Well,
Bill, so.
I can't,
So I
I
would-
can't stress how, I think this is wrong. This is wrong, and it needs to be, I mean, look what we've paid this guy. Did you
I
check in
see
your
it.
package?
Yes,
$4,000. 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we paid him $4,000. Come on. And we don't have any say over it? He's a contractor. If he wants to go on the payroll, then he's got the say. But if he's a contractor, we have the say. Am I not correct?
Well, no, you're not correct, because if
Okay,
he's
I'm
gonna
sorry.
go on the payroll, we still should have a say. It's still coming out of the enterprise.
Oh, I agree with you 100%, but I'm just saying.
well,
it's-
either way, we should have a say.
It's clear he's a contractor, and
Is that what he is, a contractor?
yes.
he's getting paid for more Bourne still, so he's getting a contracted price from, that's why he's working as a contractor from us. We know that.
Well, I didn't see the contract.
Um, No, I never saw a contract either, but he's getting paid as a contractor. And he's getting paid from the town of Bourne.
Town administrator is the procurement officer for the town.
Right?
I realize that.
So, I mean, that's,
He's not- But we're supposed to have the final say on a contractor. That's all I'm saying. If he's a contractor, if he's gonna be an employee, that's Derek's say, it's not ours. That's my
Well,
understanding.
If it's coming out of the enterprise fund, we still should have a say.
Well, we don't, we never have.
We're a toothless tiger trying to cure problems that have been kicked down the road for 40 years.
50. Early 70s.
Okay, sump pumps, that's still,
We're not gonna do anything about this.
No.
Is that the way we're gonna leave it, Mr.
I can't
Chairman?
answer, you can't answer, the questions you're asking need to be, I mean, what you're bringing up needs to be asked, he's not here to ask. So I will chase him back down, I'll try to get an appointment with him and sit down with him.
no progress on the sump pumps, we still have the issue. Still trying to figure out how to handle it.
Stone Path, they done anything?
No, they're, I gotta tell you, they really become a nightclub, oh, that's a bad word. They become an event center, and they're hosting all these events. We never counted on those gallons. They were not even in the process. So not only are they processing there, they also have an event, and they're doing a lot of events. And in the events, I'm sure there's food. And they get permits from the town, absolutely, they get special permits and this and that, but there's flow. What's that flow? What's the extra flow? I have no
They're
idea.
not preparing food, all the food is always brought in from a caterer.
Yep.
I get that, but there's cleaning, et cetera, unless they take it away, so, but
There's
it's
no,
still.
paper. Everything's paper, disposable.
Yep.
There's no plates.
And we have, for function halls, we have paper plates and real plates, and we have extra EDUs for that. But that wasn't part of the plan, it's becoming, so when we deal with the Elks and the likes of that, they pay extra for that. The EDUs go up because of that. If they use paper, we give them, a certain amount of EDUs, if it's.
Yeah, but Elks cooks.
I get that, but even the function halls that don't cook, like, we've got the place, and we had to go around with the motel, Makepeace's Motel. They cater there, they don't cook anything, but they still have a function hall, and people that go to function halls use the bathroom. They wash hands, things get cleaned, water consumption, more use. That's flow. It's not accounted for. It's not accounted for. The Kendrick pump, this department purchased a pump, high flow, and it can't keep up. We had to replace a pipe. The pipe, we had another pump, so we're not keeping up with flow, and it's going to bite us hard. So they're giving us flow that's not even accounted for, never accounted for it. That, they got a permit to have a tasting. They would allow us to taste beer of the people that they were sending their hops to, their barley to. Well, that certainly has gone out the window. It's now a function. People do birthday parties there, special events, chili cook-offs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, is happening there. The next level, they'll be cooking food. That's only inevitable. So nonetheless, that's where we are with that. And they got no permission to increase their flow. This is an indication of increase in flow. They just keep changing the use. Did they do a change of use with the town? Because it is a change of use. No. So this is where we get in trouble. And people do things on their own to change the use. We have to eat those gallons that are not accounted for and what those gallons are. That's pretty straightforward stuff. So I need to reevaluate. Maybe I charge them more EDUs. Now I bill them as a function hall and an industrial user because they have two uses there.
Well, I guess we'll need to look into that as far as upgrading their charge.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
can I ask a question? What do we get the bills payable summary for? Why do we get a copy of this? I'm curious.
because somebody asked for it at one point.
Does somebody approve these?
Yep,
Who approves them?
I do.
Why did you approve this guy, why would you not, why would you
Because-
approve him?
The town manager requested it.
So you just go ahead and approve it without the rest of us or anything? No, I'm just asking. I'm just asking a question because I want to know.
Can I throw something out?
Sure.
Just for
And I'm
discussion?
not meaning to criticize.
Well,
I'm
that-
asking a point.
That's why, let me try this.
Okay.
Would we be better off if instead of putting you on the hot seat, having to face the town administrator, if we asked him to come speak to us and we get this cleared up once and for all? How do you people feel about that?
Fine with me.
Fine with me, too.
Sounds good.
Rather than,
Jimmy, I don't want to put you on the defense.
Oh, I
and I-
well,
Not a problem.
we kind of have in delegating him to have to go
Okay.
deal with it.
And
Yeah.
yes, we have given him permission to sign off on all pending payments.
And that my question, my only question was, why
I
would
will,
we
I
approve?
will
a
see if I can
contract?
get him to attend the next meeting.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Make it a formal request. And you should, I'm wondering if we should have input from the selectmen at the same time. And I'm just thinking about it. I mean, comment somebody.
I believe he's finalized his report to the town administrator, because he is responsible for reporting. I believe that's being finalized. He may be coming to the conclusion of his. But I know he's putting together a report for the town administrator, and he's finalizing a
So
report.
just the town administrator?
Well, you'll get a copy, because I'm going to get a copy. Because it's, I'm in that report also. So I'll make
Well,
sure.
should we wait until we see the report, then have Mr. Sullivan come in?
No, I think we should
that's
have,
not-
No, I'm gonna just
have
send
him
him
come in and
a request.
Clear the air.
clear the air.
Whatever.
He can come into the next meeting.
I mean, my question is, what report? What's it about? Why?
It's about the plan. So I think he was hired to do a 30,000 feet view of the plant and what's going on and procedures, et cetera, et cetera. So he's done that, and now he's going to report on it.
Why is it necessary?
The town administrator felt it was. I don't know. I don't know.
Who needs it?
Town administrator requested that report.
He needs it.
Town administrator, yes.
Well, let him pay for it then.
Well, we're paying for it, but the town administrator felt that we needed it.
Well, no, I'm dead serious. If
I-
we
Only-
didn't ask for it, we don't pay for it.
Whether we have teeth or not, only a fool wouldn't want to know why.
Well, I think we'll know in 2 weeks when Mr. Sullivan comes.
I mean,
Yes.
come on. That bill sticks out like, here I am,
Yes.
doing quite well, what I'm doing.
For you people. Well, I think I've,
Anything from the Board of Health on the next set of letters that went out? Any responses?
I got one today, and this is going to be a legal battle. There's 45 owners, and we're trying to figure it out. Their lawyer's saying they don't have to tie in,
45 owners
in a house.
properties?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy,
Of one
on property.
property?
Yeah, well, let me clarify that. 45 owners, 23 are dead. So the balance they're trying to track down.
So they're in favor of it then?
So it's hard because the lawyer can't speak for the estate, but the lawyer's been appointed the executor of the estate. And the lawyer, in trying to find the 45 owners, found 23 dead, and they continue on with their quest to find the other owners. So I got a letter from the attorney saying that they can't assist us in having this tie-in. And here's a kicker, the person living there is a squatter.
Oh, I know the home in Oakdale. I know the home in Oakdale, because one of
Who's
the
paying the
owners,
taxes?
I
Yes.
deal with her in the garden club.
So it's a mess. And so that's the one we got
Heard about this
today. It was really, it's a mess. It's a mess. So I talked to the attorney today and said, hey,
Does
listen,
that surprise anybody?
we'll do our very best to get
surprises
this,
Wow.
resolved. So I told her I'd call her within a couple of
Yeah.
weeks, and
Did you turn the
she's
papers
working,
in
and
yet?
we'll try to figure this out.
That's
heard
almost
about this
like
house
one
for
way
a
to
couple
just write
years.
off and forget about it.
Yes, it's a new one. I think, as I said to the lawyer, if it was vacant, that's fine, but there's a person living there. They're living there.
I believe the water's been shut off.
I'm told it's on, but I don't know. I can look, I'll follow up on it. But they're living there, and they can't get him out. They cannot get him out. He says, I'm not going. He's a distant heir. I said, I'm not going.
Okay.
So anyway, so I got that, that's the only one I got so far, so I just,
Have we had any new ones connected?
no,
Update, okay.
That's pretty good.
Just the one squatter.
just the one squatter.
Jesus Christ.
I found it interesting, I really did.
Yeah,
Found it interesting.
moving on.
New business?
Something for you to sign? Do we need approval?
Yes, in there should be, Jim, you have to sign off on, you know, when the town does the foreclosures?
Yep.
So there's one in there for you for that
Okay.
piece of property.
If you could pass that down.
It has to be signed
Our
off for
chair,
tonight, so I can
please.
get that to John.
And
Oh, that's for you, I'll send it to Jim.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
March 5th.
Okay.
That's what we need is a fifth.